Today's pose is half bow over the roll, grabbing the back ankle or possibly grabbing the back ankle with a strap. It's important to be warm before coming into this pose. I'm doing the very minimum that is required for my body to be able to come into this pose and breathe. So we'll start with some abdominals. So laying down on the back, setting up for abs with a mat. You can do this with feet on the floor or legs straight up. Roll goes between thighs up against pubic bone, hands behind head, fingers interlaced. Inhale, spread low back, low ribs down into floor. Tuck tailbone, squeeze roll. Exhale, lift head and shoulders off the floor. Pull low belly down. Inhale, come all the way down, pelvis releases, back presses down, low ribs press down. Tuck tailbone, squeeze roll. Exhale, rise up. Come as high as you can, pull belly down. Inhale to come down. Spread low back down, low ribs down, feel that connection, tuck tailbone, squeeze roll, exhale, lift up off of head and shoulders, wrap shoulders and pull the lowest part of belly down. Inhale to come all the way down, feel the ribs expand, spread low ribs down, tuck tailbone, squeeze roll, exhale, rise up off of head and shoulders, low belly pulls down. Inhale to come down. Continue to work with your own breath pace. The inner leg line is active, so squeezing inner thighs and lengthening through inner edges of feet, toes spread open. To come out of the pose, come all the way down with head and shoulders, feet come down. Take a couple breaths here. So allow the belly to expand as you inhale. Feel that move. Setting up for bridge pose. Feet under, knees about hip distance or slightly wider. Grounding through feet, toes lifted. Inhale into chest. And as you exhale, curl pubic bone to belly and rise up into bridge pose. You've got the roll between thighs still, so a slight squeeze on the roll. So feeling for backs of legs on. Hands maybe coming onto pelvis and breathing into the hands, breathing back into hip flexors, deeper into psoas. When you exhale, lengthen the sit bones to the backs of the knees, so lengthening the low back. Just taking a few breaths here to open up the front of the body, so opening up through quads, hip flexors, abdomen. Maybe put hands under sacrum and give the back a little traction, so lengthening sacrum and tailbone away from the back of the head. Duty loves bridge pose. To come out of the pose, tuck tailbone and roll down, upper back first, mid, low, sacrum. Roll onto the left side. Give a love stare to your doggy, and then pressing all the way up. Tried to convince her to go away, but she wasn't really feeling it. Alright, well I still need to warm up, so I wouldn't be able to come into this pose without doing more before coming into it. So my body's telling me to come into some lunges. So we'll come into a low lunge with back traction. And so setting up left foot forward, right knee on padding. Hands on sacrum, maybe thumbs on sacrum facing each other or fists on sacrum. Inhale, ground through both feet and telescope ribs up. So you've got top of back foot down and the left foot down. To come out of the pose, come back onto both knees and then we'll just switch. Right foot forward, left knee on padding, hands on sacrum. Inhale, telescope ribs up. And as you exhale, lengthen tailbone down and begin to bring the hips more forward. So the stretch is really for that left quad, left hip flexor. Being mindful of taking care of the knee. To come out of the pose, backing up, bring the hands down. Find your rolled up mat, make sure it's nice and round, and then lay it down on the floor to set up for half bow over the roll, or half bow over the roll with a strap. Ideally, I would warm up my shoulders a little bit more, maybe with eagle arms or archer arms, but I did a practice earlier, so I'm feeling fairly warm enough to come into it. Laying down over the roll, bring the roll into belly. Make sure that the roll is not touching rib cage. Bring forearms parallel, elbows under shoulders, and lift the elbows up. And I'll usually take a couple breaths here in low cobra, especially if you haven't done it yet. So allowing the belly to get prepared for something deeper. Right knee first, reach back with right hand, grab either the outside of the ankle or the inside of the ankle and flex the foot. Slide right thigh bone back and ground it into the floor. And as you exhale, ease the shoulders down the back. So inhaling, the right thigh bone and left thigh bone lengthen back as heart comes forward. The shoulders always stay sliding down the back. The reach is from thigh bone away from hip and ribs away from hip, so opening up. To come out of the pose, release the bind, bring forearms down, and then setting up for second side when you're ready. Bend back knee, reach back with left hand and grab left ankle from either the inside or the outside, possibly bending elbow if that helps keep the left shoulder sliding into the back. Right elbow is off the floor. Inhale, pull ribs forward by drawing palm towards the body. And as you exhale, lengthen left thigh bone back, so you're reaching the left shin away from you as you pull on the foot. So it opens up the left side of chest at the same time. To come out of the pose, slowly release the foot, maybe lay over the roll for a couple breaths, and I'll be demoing half bow over the roll with a strap, so coming off the roll to set up for this pose. The strap sometimes is a good length to start from like thumb to armpit, so measuring a loop about that long. You might need it longer, you might need it shorter, but just playing with that. And then laying down on the belly. Setup is just the same, coming onto forearms, and then looping the strap around right ankle to start. So bending right knee, getting the strap back on the ankle. And then bringing the strap into the right hand in a way that the right shoulder wraps forward and the elbow comes closer to the side of the head. Right elbow will reach up. So inhale, flexing that back foot, left elbow lifts, and wrap right shoulder forward. As you exhale, lift right elbow up without coming out of the wrap of the shoulder. You'll probably be able to see a little bit better on the other side, but you are squeezing the right elbow towards the head and lifting it up. Big breath into below the right shoulder blade. So big stretch from shoulder blade. To come out, release the bind slowly. Yeah. And then strap onto left side. You might be able to see better what's happening with the shoulder on this side. So strap comes into left hand. And finding a way to bring the elbow so that it's next to the head. Yeah. So it doesn't go really far out. So you can play with how long the strap should be. Inhale, flex the foot, pull with the right hand, ribs come forward, left thigh bone slides down and back. As you exhale, lengthen tailbone down. Now inhale, wrap left shoulder. Yeah, big wrap, lift left elbow up. Exhale, slide left thigh back by reaching the left shin and ankle away. It's a pretty sweet, strong pose. And breathing into belly, softening over roll. Pubic bone very pressed down. To come out of the pose, release the strap. Yeah. And then lengthen the leg, maybe lay over the roll. And taking some breath here. Both of the poses are very powerful for strengthening the low back, including the psoas in the back, and also lengthening the psoas in the front. To come out of the pose, hands under shoulders, press onto the knees. And after any back bend in Forrest Yoga, we do a warm down. It's important to warm down the back. So we'll come to lay on the back, and Duty will join us. So when we come into back bending sequences, we do something to allow the back to unwind slowly rather than coming into cool down. So common warm down for Forrest Yoga is doing some abdominals. So we'll be coming right back into abs with the mat. For some reason, she's just so attentive today. Good time to have some bonding. As much as I'd love to just stay here and gaze longingly into your cute little eyeballs. We have a video to finish. You can do this with feet down or legs straight up. Hands behind head, fingers interlaced, wrap shoulders, press low back down. Inhale, tuck tailbone, squeeze roll. Exhale, rise up off of head and shoulders, belly pulls down. Inhale, maybe stay off the shoulders this time. You might find that the abs have more strength and connection than when you started. So doing a few rounds with the head and shoulders off the floor. If that's not happening, that's fine. Bring the head down on inhale and come up on exhale. But inhale, feel for keeping shoulders wrapped, pressing low back down, tuck tailbone, squeeze roll, and exhale, rising up a little higher. Reach through inner edges of feet, toes spread, belly down. Come out of the pose, head and shoulders down, feet down. Grab the roll, move it to the side. And take a few deep breaths here, especially into the back. Relax belly. Now we'll come into back release pose. Both feet off the floor, cross left ankle over to right thigh. Flexing left foot, bring left hand through and grab the back of right thigh or front of right shin. Inhale, feel a breath, spread low back, hips. And as you exhale, bring the thigh bone a little closer to belly. If the left knee has contact with left elbow, you can use the left elbow to traction the thigh away from hip on exhale. Second side, cross right ankle over to left thigh. Bring right hand through, grab back of left thigh or front of left shin. Inhale into hips and low back and sacrum. And as you exhale, bring the thigh bone a little closer to belly, possibly pushing right thigh bone out of hip socket, so creating space. Great pose for unwinding the back after a back bend. It's actually a really good pose to do every day, just to keep the hips mobile. Wonderful stretch. To come out of the pose, release the bind, bring knees into chest. Doing a spinal twist, you can bring knees left, keeping the knees fairly close to the belly, head right. Right arm out to the right. If it doesn't land on the floor and it feels uncomfortable off the floor, you can bend the elbow and bring it above the head, or else long if it feels okay for that stretch for the chest. Inhale into rib cage, especially on the right side, and as you exhale, tuck tailbone and soften right shoulder. To come out of the pose, lift the right leg first, then the left. Bring knees into chest. And as you're ready, bringing the knees over to the right, spinal twist, second side. Head goes left, arm left. So inhale into left rib cage. And as you exhale, lengthen tailbone away from the back of the head, relaxing left shoulder into gravity. Very sweet pose to unwind the back. And if you have chronic or sporadic back pain, it's a good time to take some breath into those areas or that area and give it some attention. To come out of the pose, lift the left knee first and then the right. And bring the knees into chest and rock side to side on sacrum or do little knee circles when you get there. And from here, you could come into any final pose on the back, like a happy baby or Baddha Konasana, bottoms of the feet together, or just resting, knees knock-kneed. That's a great one. And Duty came back. She's just so loving today. For me, it's Shavasana with a dog. So get some heart love here. Yeah. If possible, you stay here on the back for some rest. So just letting the back unwind. And you can do that with feet down, or you could do it with legs long, or if you have a big pillow or bolster, you can rest the knees. Duty, say thanks for playing.